This series was funded by great viewers just like you over on Patreon. Check out the description or end of the video to hear how you can take part in making the show even more amazing. Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here, and welcome back to another episode of Which Ninja? A series that looks at media's most popular shinobi to see which are good and which are bad, and you have no earthly idea how jazzed I am to be talking about Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Ever since E3 last year, I've been absolutely hyped to break down every single aspect of this lone wolf ninja. His abilities, his weapons, his story, everything. Huh. What, you don't think he's a good ninja?
The unmasked, brightly colored killing machine? Yeah, you can say I have a handful of doubts. In fact, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how he miraculously was trained to become a shinobi in the first place. He gets picked up by some kind of massive grizzled veteran of the Sengoku-wearing states period, and is then trained off-screen into a master shinobi by... who, exactly? And if you're gonna tell me that this 8-foot absolute unit of a man is actually some shinobi sensei, then I would like to refer you to our video on Taki and the height weight limits of a ninja. And what exactly is this shinobi code? The Lord is absolute, protect with your life? That sounds way more samurai than ninja to me.
Well, let's not forget that one of the greatest ninja clans in history, the Iga, were bodyguards of the Tokugawa shogunate family for almost 200 years. And let's also not forget that the Fuma pirate ninja clan, yes, that actually was a thing, was subservient to the Hojo clan until their defeat in 1590 at the siege of Odawara Castle.
But look at this guy! No mask? At all? And to make matters worse, Sekiro is running around the foresty green Japan wearing that color's complement. What kind of pathetic ninja goes around in a red shozoku and a yellow scarf? Wait,
well, there's far more to Sekiro in both character and game than that. The combat styles, tools, and most importantly, the prostheses are linked incredibly close to what history defines as a true ninja. In fact, two of the greatest links between Sekiro and Shinobi are two items you get right at the start of the game, the healing cord and the grappling hook. To veterans of our show, these would be immediately recognizable as two of the 6 Shinobi no Rokugu, the 6 essential tools of the ninja. Those being a Jingasa hat for subtlety, kusuri or medication depending on what type of mission you're on, an uchitake fire starter for when you need a blazing distraction, sekihitsu charcoal or chalk pins for jotting down information, the multi-purpose sanjaku tenuki towel, and finally the Kaginawa grappling hook, which allowed the ninja to not only transverse hills and walls, but made for great utility for things like setting up tripwire traps and binding enemies.
Maybe. But the game itself makes a point that the healing cord mysteriously refills itself, which honestly sounds more like a yokai thing than a ninja thing. The Kanayosa, a Tsukumogami monster of the Gazu Hyaki Tsurezure Bokuro, was a jar come to life who, through some magical means, would never run out of whatever liquid was poured into it. And that's not the only yokai connection with this, quote, ninja. The Divine Abduction Prosthetic tool, the massive prong fan that creates a whirlwind torrent around Sekiro, yeah, that's actually an Aralia leaf, predominantly used by Tengu to manipulate winds, which the game does confirm. While the item in its name may cleverly reference the story of the Tengu Soul Jobo and the legendary swordsman Minamoto no Yoshitsune, it's still more of a samurai reference than ninja.
Alright, fair, but there's still plenty more prosthesis tools and items that Sekiro uses that connects him to real historical ninja. First of all, and probably the simplest of these being the handful of ash. Rather than simply being dust scattered in the face of his enemies, Sekiro actually throws out a pack of the stuff that explodes on his enemies. This is likely a more simplistic version of the Metsubushi bomb, or eye-closing bomb. Small packs of irritants like flour, salt, pepper, and a lot of ash are either funneled into eggshells or quickly wrapped up in small paper packages, which would then explode in the face of the ninja's enemy. Secondly, there's the other main healing item in the game, simply known as the pellets. While the game claims that these small ingestible balls are medicinal, Ninja would actually use these pellets for food and water. That's right, food and water. These were known as Hyodogan, Kikatsugan, and Suikatsugan. Hyodogan were comprised of yams, ginseng, sugar, fruit, and non-glutinous rice, while Kikatsugan were made of ginseng, buckwheat, rice, sake, chickweed, and bananas. Now, the difference between these two food pellets is that Hyodogan were best used as regular rations, while Kikatsugan acted as emergency packs when starvation seemed inevitable. These 10mm spheres were hyper-packed with nutrition, and 30 balls a day were said to keep the ninja fed and at full energy. The Suikatsukan, on the other hand, was a really strange sort of ration. It didn't hydrate the ninja, but rather retained their internal moisture, or so it was to be believed. For example, if a ninja ate 3 of these things, they were believed to be able to go 45 days without a drop to drink. Realistically though, a ninja could more likely go without drinking for maybe half a day, as the Suikatsukan stimulated salivation. The ball itself was comprised of mint, starch, plums, cocoa, licorice, and of course water. So despite being medicine in the game, perhaps the ingesting of these balls and the regaining of vitality and posture is more symbolic of Sekiro being energized. Finally, the most interesting item that this game lends from ninja history is the 5-colored rice. In-game, you could pour out glowing rice in different colors on the ground to basically act as landmarks should you need to retrace your steps. But in real life, the use of ththese 5-colored rice, or goshikima as they were called, was far more complicated. The game states that the rice was used to create recognizable patterns, but in actuality, ninja used these colored grains as ciphers, creating entire messages out of a combination of the 5 colored grains that spanned the entire Japanese language. Oh, but we're not even close to being done because we still have all the prosthetic tools to break down, starting with the most useful and most ninja of all, the Shinobi firecrackers. In-game, a quick flick of the wrist unleashes an arc of crackling sparks and explosions that not only disorients enemies, but causes posture gauge damage to beasts, making them more susceptible to killing blows. And true to form, ninja in Japan would utilize fireworks of their own for the exact same purpose. Individual firecrackers called bakuchika were crafted from bamboo stuffed with gunpowder, which created a quick distraction. Or, just like in-game, firecrackers would be run together to form a hyaku daiju string, which created an even larger, wider, and longer range of distractions through the use of these tiny explosives. And that's just for starters. You've also got the loaded shuriken prosthetic tool, which, come on, do I even need to explain this one? Simply put, you toss a shuriken at an enemy for both vitality and posture damage. Good for stunning and killing fast, unarmored enemies, but very, very bad for enemies well aware of your presence who can block or dodge them with ease. Which, as we've mentioned before, is pretty accurate to how real-life shuriken functioned. Because despite what movies and other games may say, shuriken were meant more as a distraction tool, not a lethal weapon. However, that being said, the Flame Fin prosthetic ninja tool is just as lethal in-game as it is in real life.
Wait, you're telling me that ninja had handheld flamethrowers?
Well, not exactly, but they did have the Nigiri Teppo, which were very, very similar to Sekiro's tool. While they didn't spew flames, they did send out a massive black powder explosion. Basically, it was a squeeze-trigger handheld pistol that shot blanks, and if a ninja could get close enough to their target, if it didn't blow holes in them, it would at least scare the crap out of them, just like how the Flame Fin scared the pants off the ogre boss in early game. Do you want me to keep going? Because I totally can. The Finger Whistle, an item that distracts enemies, making them easier to stealth around by producing sound, classic example of a Joge Onjutsu. The Mist Raven? Nothing more than a Shushin no Jutsu, my dude. An illusionary technique that distracts the target into making them think that the ninja just teleported a short distance away. The Loaded Axe and Spear? You'd be foolish to assume that ninja only worked with shuriken and swords, because anything could be a capable weapon in the hands of a shinobi. And they would train with and against all manner of weapons.
I guess the Sabimaru makes sense too. As we saw back in the Taki episode, Kodachi were the actual preferred choice of blades for regular ninja due to their smaller, easier to manage size, and their ability to dodge katana length regulation laws. And with its poison effect, shoot, finding a Mignolan and Strychnine in Japan was as easy as picking a few apples, plums, and cherry trees, which the country has plenty of. But see, that's the other big gripe that I have with Sekiro, the combat intensiveness. Yeah, you can stealth around enemies and not engage them to save your resources. In fact, I'd say that's encouraged. But Sekiro combat focuses on face-to-face aggressive combat, with wearing down your opponent with parries and strikes being the key feature. Where on the flip side, ninja were not pure combatants. A ninja's primary purpose and its namesake was to endure and survive. They were spies, not warriors.
Yes, true, but that didn't mean they didn't know how to defend themselves. Against half a dozen guards or samurai, yeah, a ninja was dead as dirt after being captured and tortured to reveal all their information. But in a one-on-one fight, especially when a ninja could get the drop on their opponent, it was no contest. And this is the combat mentality you see everywhere in Sekiro.
So how exactly does the game express that?
So for starters, with the aforementioned Kaginawa grappling hook being so easy to use and hookable locations so prevalent in this game, it's just screaming for you to stay up high, which in turn is a callback to the Tanuki Gakure no Jutsu, the technique of staying at a 45-degree angle above your enemy to stay out of their conscious field of vision. A simple technique that kept the ninja out of sight or placed them just in the right spot to pounce. Next, there's the little matter of Sekiro's biggest lifesaver, the Mikiri sword stepping counter. Occasionally, a warning sign in kanji will flash over Sekiro's head, warning him of an unblockable attack. However, once you unlock this, the Mikiri counter has him dodging the attack, stepping on his opponent's sword, and instantly death-blowing them. Though it's a little modified, this is an actual technique taught by the Grandmaster of Bujinkan ninjutsu himself, Hatsumi Masaki. In his book, The Way of the Ninja's Secret Techniques, Masaki illustrates a taijutsu technique using soko, or ashiko foot claws, where the ninja would swing up their metal-reinforced foot and block an incoming sword technique with said foot, leading to an easy counter. But these are just parts of a much larger whole, the whole that makes up the core principles of Sekiro's combat mechanics: speed and counters. First, unlike From Software's Dark Souls games where dodging is key, Sekiro forces the player to master blocking, parrying, and counterattacking. Now, I'm no master at Bujinkan ninjutsu, but every technique that I see in this book is a counter. It begins with a fake out or parry of the opponent's attack, and then striking back at the point of their faulting. Exactly how Sekiro deals with every single grunt, mini-boss, and main boss. Second, again, unlike other Dark Souls games where most fights were man-to-man duels without any sort of massive advantages to the player, Sekiro actively encourages players to tear a full health bar off the boss before initiating combat, and then aggressively parrying and occupying opponents, breaking their posture in order to take them down quickly. And again, this is yet another ninja principle. To quote Masaki's book, one never knows when a fight might start. That is why in Budo one keeps prepared, so that should a fight arise, one can settle it as quickly as possible. In a dangerous situation, you act swiftly without any hesitation. That is the secret to winning. Which, quite frankly, also happens to be the secret to winning this game. Due to the game's mechanics, you really can't take your time and dodge a whole lot. Just like Masaki said when describing how to win, in Sekiro, you have to not only be quick and aggressive, but precise. To back away from your opponent means to let them recover posture, and by doing that, you're giving them the upper hand. So in my final analysis, I give Sekiro, the lone wolf who dies twice, 9 out of 10 stars. Though he sure isn't dressed for the mission and he really is itching for a fight, Sekiro's abilities, techniques, items, and the core central combat mechanics of this game line up so very closely to Shinobi that history can recall.
I'll give him a 6 out of 10 stars. Yeah, the techniques and items are pretty one-to-one with real ninja, but his ambiguous training, his lack of camouflage garb, and his questionable Shinobi code leaves me with far more doubt than assertion.
But what do you guys think? Based on this research, do you think Sekiro's a shining example of a true ninja, or is this stab-happy Shinobi leaning a bit more on the samurai side? Let us know in the comments below, and a big thank you to all of you wonderful patrons that keep this show going. Without you guys, there is no way I could keep this series alive. And if you missed out on past episodes like our foray into Taki from Soul Calibur, be sure to check out the rest of the Witch Ninja series. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to learn even more about culture through your favorite games and anime. But until next time, everyone, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.